All right, hey, let's see if we are up and running here. I'm going to check my channel to see if the signal is live. I can see it, but it doesn't seem like it's live yet, which probably means I just need to flip it over. But beyond that, I am going to go through my origin story here with y'all, and then we'll get to work here in a hot second. So let's see, checking my signal here real quick. Burp, burp, burp. Am I coming through? Burp, burp, burp. Am I coming through? Yeah, there I am. Okay, cool. So it looks like I'm live. Yeah, there I am. Okay, cool. So and the volume sounds good. So let's drop that down, and then we can continue forward. So yeah, I'm going to do some origin story stuff here real fast, and then we'll get to work today. So hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish online. We are currently creating an adventure for the Eberron campaign setting in 5th edition that will publish on the DMsGuild. I've been running games in D&D since 1987. I've been using Eberron as my homebrew campaign origin world of choice since 2006. And I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2017, but I've never created an actual published adventure before. Most of the adventuring that when I run a game, maybe like 80% of it is improvised. So I have a loose skeleton idea of what NPC goals are, what hazards are in the area, what threats could be there, general idea of the environment, but then kind of wing it. So actually building out all of the structure and information about an adventure beforehand. That's a new direction for Phil. So this has been a fun ongoing process with Andy Healy, the old goat, who's been my co-writer, and Stuart Braz, who's my editor for this project. But we are well on our way to having it completed at this point. I am tackling layouts off screen right now, and blip, blop, bloop. There's that, and I think this is the last of my clip-a-deal here, so we should be live with everything. Good. Okay, cool. So let's see. Let's get this updated here. Now we can actually get to work. So I'm on the X Twitter platform. If you are on X Twitter as well, I'm at Phil Kearney. You can get coupons and see a different art that we're doing and get notification when I'm live and all that jazz. So check that out. Stick around. Here on YouTube itself, what is going on with my bits? I want to do that. How's that sitting? Okay. And now I want to take this, push that up a bit, just a little bit more. Good. And then I can pull that forward a bit. I futz in with my borders. Okay, that feels okay. Let's do that. Okay, cool. So let's see. That's squared away. That's squared away. Oh yeah, YouTube channel. Hey there you go. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when we're live in the future. Here's the full playlist of all 311 episodes. This is the book cover we created back around episode 40. If you want to see examples of my other stuff, the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that I published in March, Pacts and Patrons of Ravnica, Theurgy, the Color Mana Spell Point variant rule system, and Point Warlocks. Point Warlocks is 3 sales away from a gold medal. So if you guys are interested in supporting my channel, throw a buck or two at Point Warlocks for me to hit gold. That would be great if I can hit gold before September 17th. As soon as the Player's Handbook comes out, I get to start converting all of those books back, upgrading them to 2024 to make sure they remain compliant. Book cover, good. We're currently making character art. So we're making. There are a number of characters in the village that the players can interact with. Most of them are just random NPCs, but two of them in particular are named characters: the constable and the mayor. Constable is Brangrit. I forget his last name, but Brangrit, and then the mayor piece is Jalen. So we're going to work on those two. We imported some random villagers from the Spelljammer supplement. In Spelljammer, you take a bunch of refugee villagers and take them to the Rock and Brawl for safety while their planet's being destroyed. Sorry. So here's a villager. Here's another villager that we did. And here is the art we've got going for the Dwarven Constable Brangrit, and then here is the map we have for the illustration we have for the Mayor Jalen. These are in the know character NPCs that give your characters authority in town, so you'll have the opportunity to question people and blah blah blah. So for now, we're going to just work on Jalen. So this is a rough sketch that we have. We're going to take like we do, we're going to drop that down into a lower opacity, open up a new layer. I'm using Photoshop. I'm at 2 pixels. This is the area that we are creating inside of is a 300 by 300 pixel space. That is a 1-inch square, which is token size in most. 1-inch tokens is the norm for D&D. Let's hit the erase button 100% there. So we'll be here for about an hour or so this morning, and then we do this Monday through Fridays. In the morning each week, I grab my cup of coffee, I log on, we do some artwork. On, let's see, Tuesdays and Fridays at lunchtime, I do a design stream when I'm able. That's off and on. I wasn't on yesterday because my day job workload was too heavy to allow me to escape for the day. So typically, if I can reach escape velocity, it'll be on Tuesdays and Fridays. And then Thursday nights, I generally stream something. This Thursday, I think we're working on. I want to say we're working on Spelljammer stuff. I'm not sure exactly what it is we're working on. Maybe some more Vocath Fleet Battle. That's almost done. And then on Saturday, we have an open workbench. Also on Thursday, I think, is it this Thursday or is it the next Thursday? I believe I'm participating with Fred Wheeler of How to RPG and Wally DM for for some Cypher system action. I'm part of a troupe of RPG designers and players that cluster together every few Thursday nights to run a game. Like we were running Beckme for a while. We did Super Atomic Punk, and I think Cypher is our next system. So, hey, Rel, how you doing, my guy? It's good to see you. Monday was a holiday in America, so I had time away spending with family, friends, and barbecue. It was time well spent for me. I'm back. I'm happy to finally be back in the saddle. My schedule's been a little more chaotic than I want it to be, but this is all coming together really nicely now. Here, some ears. Here. typically Monday nights and Saturday morning. Well, Saturday morning is my workbench, so I work on whatever I want, whether it's a project or a commission piece or whatever. But between Saturday mornings and Monday nights, those are the 2 days that I have designated for playtesting. And so we're playtesting the martial power system currently on Mondays. We're level 6 right now. Rel, of course, here is part of the playtest. Glad to have you as well. And so it oscillates between Monday nights and Saturday mornings when I'm playtesting. I don't always playtest, but I playtest stuff pretty frequently. So what's going to happen is we're going to wrap up the 6th level playtest probably in the next couple weeks. And I don't expect it to be done this week, maybe next week or the following. I'm not in a big hurry because we're going to, on September 17th, the 2024 Player's Handbook gets released. And we are going to then spend time updating the martial power system, the class options to comply with all the new tech that's provided in the 2024 book. We'll rebalance everything, and then we'll be able to come back and do some more testing with the updated mechanics, make sure everything flows smoothly as intended. So we'll have a few weeks break from martial power playtesting. We'll figure out if we're going to continue on Monday mornings or Monday nights or Saturday mornings for the next flurry of playtesting, which will probably be level 7 and 8. Might step backwards and go back to 3rd and 4th level with the new rules in place. So we might slow down the process a little bit and just make sure that we're really comfortable with the new rules before we start pumping out content with it. We'll see, but between the martial power system, the color mana playtest, the color mana spell point variant rules, Spelljammer, Pacts and Patrons, and the Theurgy books that we put out, there's a lot of stuff for us to update with 2024, and I want to do so. I don't know if I'll update further in the future if there's other additions or whatever, or whether the DMsGuild still exists or not at that point is going to be a big deciding factor as well. Bro, how you been, my guy? What are you working on? We are working on NPCs right now for the Eberron Adventure, Crystals of Mabar. The town, one of the starting points in the adventure is a small, undocumented Thorpe village in the in Karnath along the Carnwood, which is noted as being a haunted forest. It's open territory. When the last war ends, swords to plowshares. You decommission soldiers and you start commissioning farmland so that you can produce more food, so your population can replenish after a war. That's pretty typical procedure in the world. In the real world, and thus here as well. So this little undocumented village is a little farming community that sprouted up from refugees and veteran soldiers that have no real home to go. This war lasted 500 years. So there's a large population of soldiers that have no home other than barracks. So there's plenty of land open after so long. There's just little communities cropping up that are taking advantage of the peace and the opportunity to build a peaceful life. Farming is a nice low radar activity that is needed, so the government is willing to look the other way and not ask about, are you a citizen or not? If you're producing food for Karnath, you're a citizen enough for now. So a lot of refugees are taking advantage of this anonymity and setting up new lives for themselves out in the rural regions of Karnath. So these communities need a form of law and order. So individual constables are often elected or chosen by the community. So there's a mayor, there's a constable, and then there's a bunch of villagers, basically. So there's two authority figures, the mayor and the constable. Those are our leaders. and then from there you have all the community members. So we're making we've got 2 NPC tokens already of super NPC commoners, common villagers, like nobodies. Like they will be killed by undead if they ever run across a zombie, they are dead. And we'll have another set of non-combatant NPCs to go with them. So we'll have a total of 4 NPCs. And then we have this constable, and then we'll have the mayor, and then that will complete the set of village NPCs. And that should be the lab. Well, there's also like we have some lab assistants we can make NPCs for. Some woodsmen. There's like maybe a dozen NPCs that the characters can encounter throughout the adventure that are non-combatant, that are just there to provide information and direction and some exposition for the characters during the course of the adventure. But having unique tokens for each of them is not a bad idea, and I'll probably have the bandwidth here in the morning to do so probably for the next month for while I'm getting layouts taken care of. So the layout process has began. Here, I'll show you that real quick. Currently I'm messing around with an 8.5 by 11 letterhead size format, and I'm doing it on a on a landscape format. So I'm not sure if this is how it's going to end up sticking or not, but I'm currently figuring out how it's like. Does it look, if I build this out, does it look good in a 2-column format where the 8.5, the 11 inches is horizontal and the 8.5 is vertical? It's a format you can do. I'm not 100% set that this is the way to do it. There is also the option of doing an 11-inch tall, 17-inch long format, which would be a really big piece of paper if you printed it out. But on a PDF, it might not be bad. So right now, I'm just messing around with formatting to see how text can sit on a page and what feels most natural, considering it's not really intended for being printed out. It's meant to be a PDF. I can lean into the PDF design of it, but you can see we haven't even gotten the fonts correct for like the different headers and stuff. Right now, I'm just simply seeing how can I break up the information on the page, and I started with the appendices. Like here, I can do a line break here, but then I have like this half page here, and then I got 1 page, 2 page. 3 page for a plot hook for the gatekeeper oracles, but this should actually be over here like that. So here's one of the alternate plot hooks when you're working for the gatekeepers to destroy the manifest zone. This fills 1 page, 2 page, almost just 2 pages of solid text, right? So what I need to do is probably blow this out to 3 pages so there's space for some illustration, but that's a lot of, I only have 1 NPC illustration and then like maybe a token illustration. That should fill a 1/4 page, but I don't have a 1/4 page of space open here and here. So I have to decide what page format do I want, and then how does the text fit on each of those pages? And if it's clumsily filled, do I need to expand or erase text from each block that we're working on? So this is the process that we're going through right now, and it'll take a while. It will honestly take a while for me to drum my way through all this. But that's where we're at right now. It's looking like a lot of the text naturally fills into these spaces. But I'm going to mess around with this format for a bit, and then we're going to tilt it back up so it's tall style. Then we're going to mess around with different page sizes. Because it is a PDF document specifically, I can mess around with non-conventional page sizes. Ultimately, whatever's going to fit on a screen well is what I'm most interested in doing. So we might reformat the page to simply fill your tablet broad, like having the tablet fit this way so a DM can lay it down in front of them behind their DM screen and clack dice on the actual screen is pretty useful. Or to be able to be something that you could easily hold up in, like I hold a tablet like this because I'm super blind, right? So if I had a single page as like a control panel that provided all the information that I needed there that I could zoom in and out of, but have the information be bite size on a single page. It could be up to me how large that page is to be able to occupy the space. So I started with the 8.5 by 11 because that's pretty traditional pretty traditional page size. But again, as a PDF, I'm not beholden to that. So we're going to be messing around with that different formatting to see what looks good. And once I settle on something, then I'll be able to charge forward with that. So it's an interesting process. Most books that I've built are vertical oriented, 2-column format where I'll break it anywhere from 1 to 3 columns depending on what the particular page is. But I'm integrating a lot more map work into this one. So we're going to be continuing messing with that formatting as we go. But since I'm still locking that down, once I lock all that, I'm going to hit the save button there, and now we can close. So as we go through that process, I'll be able to continue creating tokens here in the mornings so that this is my primary project right now. So anytime there's art assets, I want to prioritize making sure they are completed. There. I think I'm going to do like a little half jacket thing. Here. Figure out the outline here and then we'll fill in the details. Erase that a bit. Let's grab both of these, expand. Let's make them a bit bigger. That here. What's up? How many more weeks of playtesting do we have? For level 6, probably 2 or 3, I reckon. I mean, you're welcome to drop in, drop out whenever you want, but I assume the adventure like this. I assume the region that you guys are in will be resolved in the next 2 or 3 sessions. Oh, do you got something coming up? Yeah, right on. Yep, level 6 will go for probably another 2 or 3 weeks. Just depends on how long it takes for you guys. I don't have an absolute limit. It's whenever the team resolves the current region that you're in. I'll be taking a break from playtesting for a little bit while we update the document to comply with 2024 rules. And then we'll start playtesting again with the new rules in effect. And it'll also give me an opportunity to just to play around, just to play in 2024 rules for a little bit as well. So I might step back and drop the characters back down to 3rd and 4th level once we finish translating, and then do 5th and 6th level again, 7th and 8th, and then up to 9th and 10th. Playtesting takes time, especially when you don't have like a large troop of folks that are committed to what you do. Makes a big difference. I'll get there. I'll get to a point someday where I got a ton of people that just want to grab stuff and play test it, but I haven't earned that yet. I have to earn it. I have to earn that privilege. Does it seem like you want to end it before the player handbook comes? No, I don't. That's not important to me at all. It's just once the player's handbook comes out, I'll put the brakes on playtesting. But I don't want to stop playtesting. I don't want to finish level 6 before 2017. It's September 17th. It's 2 weeks away. So we'll probably be playtesting. I'm going to say it'll probably take 3 weeks for us to finish the current bout of playtesting, assuming that players keep showing up. But I am interested in updating all the mechanics to make sure they are compliant with 2024. And I'm excited about it. Change is good. I'm excited about the new energy. I'm excited about what the new game could bring to the table. I'm not necessarily wild about all the decisions that were made, but it's the system. It's the system I'm currently designing for. So I have to be familiar with it regardless. And we'll finish what we're currently doing. Once we finish all the books that I'm working on, then we can assess, do I want to stay put, or do I want to build my own thing, or just do like generic 5e. A lot of the stuff that I do are subsystem designs that don't really rely on the characters specifically. So a lot of the content that I produce, I could put on Drive-Thru-RPG instead of the DMsGuild specifically, but I'm going to be interested to see what the 2024 revitalization does for the DMsGuild community. There, and I'm futzing around with this guy's beard a lot, but that's dwarf for you. There, get that straightened out. There we go. That feels good. You're doing hands, you start with mittens. I start with mittens anyway, and then I just work in further detail. Hey, what's up? Yeah, right on, my guy. Well then, you have a great day, my guy. Thanks for swinging by. Or maybe not. It'll be what it is, my guy. You're not beholden to me. Yeah, sure. Well, I'll be here for another 40 minutes. So it is what it is. All right. Later, Gator. Right on. Happy to have you when I do. Let's have a sip of water. Okay, so for those that are keeping tabs and interested, the Spelljammer Eberron campaign that I've been running for my home table, I've been designing, DMing, and updating here on stream haphazardly. Sometimes as their own dedicated, sometimes as just updates and mentions. So I'm going to do an update mention here now with you all. Let's bring that in like that. That feels right. Okay, so once a week, unless something goes off rail, I have a weekly home table that I run as a DM. It's been my table for the past 6 years. It's coworkers at my day job. So once per week, there's a cluster of anywhere from 4 to 7 of us that gather around right now it's a virtual space. Hey, Mr. Fantastic, what is up? Hey, we're making NPC tokens for the Eberron Adventure that I'll be publishing on the DMsGuild, and I was about to go into a rant about my homebrew Spelljammer campaign that I've been running. So, allow me to wax poetic. Yeah, this is a constable in a small village, Thorpe called Peace. It's got about 20 different farms in a small little village infrastructure. And there's, of course, the story of the adventure is that they're along the Carnwood because it's unused land. The Karnath government isn't being picky about who sets up shop where if they're farming, if they're creating food for them to repopulate after the end of the last war. They're not going to pay any particular attention to who you are. Just keep producing food. And you'll be naturalized. If you aren't naturalized, you'll be naturalized soon enough. So, best way to gain your government's favor is to produce needed materials for that government. So that's what we got going on here. A bunch of refugees from different locations that no one is asking any particular questions about where you're coming from. As long as you're willing to till the land and help the village thrive, you are welcome. So a bunch of people showed up, started farming, and then trouble started coming from the Carnwood. Now there's undead being seen. People are spooking. A lot of when we were last here, I'll just crack this open for shits and giggles. Hit save real quick there, and then we're going to go into. Here's the farmhouse that we were mapping. We finished this yesterday. Here's the roofs. So here's it's a 50 by 50 inch farming homestead. This one is called After the Attack, in which the undead from the forest northward get into the farmhouse and kill the people that are there, kill the horses. apparently chase some people down in the corn maze and kill them, and then run off into the corn maze. So we have a little bit of village here, a little bit of a forest starting here, a little bit of forest starting here. Put the roof back on top. So we have an outhouse over here. Here's a well. Here's a pea patch, like with okra, kale, pumpkin, lettuce, sprouts. And then here's the village, a front deck. You lift off the lid, you come in through the front door. Commons area, kids' room. Sorry, kids. Parents' room. They never got there. And then down here too, again, you put the roof on, you take the roof off. We've got 4 stalls to the barns. We have supplies that are stored here: hay, grain, saddles, some work equipment. But yeah, they're all dead in Shinoda Village. That's the attacked village. There's also the occupied, where there's still people in their farm, and they haven't been attacked yet. And then we have the farms where people are freaking out, and so they ditch their home altogether and flee the area and never heard from again. That is the abandoned. So you can see here in this scenario, all of the equipment, all of the furnishings, they're all gone. They just leave the place up and running. It's just a generic map for there's about 20 different farms in the community. This is just a generic farming map. You probably don't need more than 1 or 2, but it's going to be the same format. So there you go. But yeah, this is you can have undead attacks here. Your team can take ownership of one of these abandoned farm homes if they want to play like a secured shelter. They can take long rests in. One of the rewards for helping the town is they give you the deed to one of these abandoned farms, so you can use it as a crash house or to start generating income for yourself if you want. But we spent a lot of time building out these different maps. Rich, yeah, no kidding, right? You like his hat? Me too. They got the new Eberron book that's coming out, Threshold, I think. I don't recall the name specifically, but it's a Wild West setting on the fringe between Droam and Brayland. It's kind of a gold rush area, so there's a lot of fun happening there. But yeah, I like this guy. I like. There, set that proper. There. So Wednesday lunchtime is my is the current day that our my coworker homebrew table that we play. I'm gonna make this bigger. Nothing says I wear armor like pauldrons. So we give them little leather pauldrons. Something like that. I see text over there. I'll get to you. Hold on. Something like that. You need to work on that a bit. But what's up? Dwarf? Yep. Yep, his name is Brangrit, and I keep forgetting how to pronounce his last name. It's something Dwarven. Not usual for a dwarf to be dwelling with humans, so this guy must have some sort of a story, but we don't go into it. He's out here not making waves, just like everyone else isn't. That's starting to feel pretty good. There. How does he... How does he... the text of the window is getting in the way. What is this? How does he like... How does he like his chili? I don't know, man. Probably with beans. Is that some sort of an inside joke I don't get? Single layer of beans. My eye. All right, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I'm gonna take a sip of coffee. I'm gonna rant about my campaign real quick. All right, so just to recap, Spelljammer Eberron campaign. It's the theme of the campaign is orbital mining operations. So the Ring of Sybaris is an asteroid belt that orbits Eberron. It has asteroids and crystals like massive dragon shards, as well as various precious metals. So the theme here is the team runs a mining operation that goes to these asteroids, mines minerals and wealth from them, that then gets dropped down into a smelting facility, and they gain revenue, resources, whatever, for them to expand the capabilities of their mining operation and to recruit and equip higher level characters with gear and stuff. Right? Kind of like XCOM games where you go on adventures, you complete missions, you get loot, you make discoveries, you research better weapons and technologies to advance your militia, basically. So this campaign is that same sort of format where they're purchasing the deeds to different territories in orbit where they can then have exclusive mining rights to asteroids, because the asteroids are in orbit around the planet, and it's not a fixed, like they're moving around the planet, but the locations that the team has, each plot of land in orbit around the planet is a geocentric orbit, so it moves with the planet. So if you have a plot of land above Droam, your mining territory is always over Droam. So like Droam has asteroid mining rights themselves, and so their asteroid mining operation is located above Droam, for instance. Sarlona has an orbital mining operation. The Elves of Arenell have an orbital. What's the word I'm looking for? An orbital community. Dargoon has an orbital community, and then for the most part, the human nations of Corvair have guilds that are basically subcontract guilds that get that parse out the different orbits over Corvair. So the goal here is to prevent asteroids from falling out of orbit and smashing communities. So the primary function of these orbital guilds is to break down asteroids before they drop out of orbit. So when they eventually do drop out of orbit, they burn up on entry without risk of destroying a community. If you leave a rock, if it's too big of a rock that's too intact, it'll survive orbital decay and potentially destroy a community. So your job is to smash the rocks and get them out of there. And so every time you clear a section, like a sector of asteroid and debris, you get rewarded with a number of resource points. And whenever you're destroying, and depending on what the asteroids are in your territory, it might also have precious material like precious stones or like iron ore or whatever, something that can be mined out of the asteroids before you destroy it. So it goes from 100% to 0%. When it's 0% asteroid left, it is destroyed, and you get a bonus resource. While you're breaking the rock down, you extract resources like platinum, gold, dragon shards, gem, whatever it is that happens to be composing that rock. A certain percent of the rock will be a precious material. So once you break the rock down to 0, it is gone. While you're breaking it down, every 10 days, you destroy a certain percentage of the rock. And so each of those 10 days, you reduce the percent left of the rock, and you extract minerals from it. So, like, let's say an asteroid of Electrum is in low orbit and threatening falling into atmosphere. Let's say there's 40% of the asteroid remains. So while you're breaking the rock down, every 10 days you're going to roll an ability check, and whatever the result of that ability check, depending on what type of ore it is, the difficulty of the ore increases. Like copper and iron are super low, are low end resources. So like a DC of like 10 and 13 is all you need to extract those rocks. So if you make your ability check, if you roll a 10 or a 13 or better, you succeed in extracting rock from the operation, and you gain like iron and electrum, like iron and copper, for instance, DC of 10 and 13. And whenever you succeed, you only gain 1 point of resource for doing that. And when they're in low orbit, they're worth, when you break down the rock completely, you get an additional D4 plus 1 resources. So when you roll your ability check, whatever the result of your die roll is, that's the percent that you break down. So if you rolled, say if you only need a 13 to break down copper, and you roll a 16, you succeed in breaking down the copper, so you get 1 point of resources for that 10-day cycle. And you rolled a 16. Of the 40% that remains, you've just stripped off 16% of it. So now only 24% of the rock remains. If while it remains in your territories, if you can reduce it down to 0, you'll get an additional D4 plus 1 points of resources. And to put things into perspective, if you want to, like, say, if you want to gain a new territory, it'll cost you anywhere from 1 to 5 points to gain another territory, depending on where it's located at. So if you break down a copper rock, you might get enough resources for you to pick up another territory. The team currently has 6 territories that they're mining at any given time. So as they attempt to break down rocks in these territories, every 10 days there's an update, and those updates means that like new rocks, new threats, new challenges arise around the rocks that they're mining. So currently they have 3 threats. Of the 6 territories that they have, 3 territories are being threatened, which means that the 3 territories that aren't being threatened, they can mine in peace and gather resources without challenge. But the other 3 territories that are being threatened right now, one of them has a workers' strike. The dwarves that are mining that particular area have decided to stop working because they think that there's a violation of the labor contract. So they won't continue working until their demands are met. And in the other 2 territories, there are gargoyles from Droam that are now squatting in the asteroids that their team was supposed to go in and mine. So until the gargoyles go away, the miners don't feel it's safe to be there, And in a third territory, miners are striking because they feel that their contracts are being violated. So the team has to decide. There's 3 threats, so the team could have their own goals of trying to achieve something. Go research a place, or like go explore a thing, or go attack somebody, or something like that. The team might have their own goals, but they have all these little outbreaks that happen as well that could distract them from their own goals. Because the characters can only do one thing at a time. And the campaign is broken up into 10-day chunks. Every 10 days, you gather resources from your mining operation. So whatever adventure you're currently on generally resolves within 10 days. So every 10 days, new problems crop up. You deal with those problems. They resolve. Next 10 days, that's the cadence of the campaign. So they're currently about to start their 5th adventure, and they're not necessarily sure what this episode is going to be, but it will be their 5th. And so in the current issues that they're dealing with in these past 10 days, they had 2 of their territories occupied by gargoyles, and the 3rd territory was on strike. And so now that they're ending their current 10-day cycle, they had to decide, do we want to deal with the gargoyles that are squatting in our territories, or do we want to deal with the labor dispute? The team decided that the labor dispute didn't seem very heroic, so let's go check out the gargoyles. So when they found out that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of gargoyles that are now in their territory, they're like, well, we don't have the authority, we don't have the firepower to force them out through military actions. But they're Droam, so maybe we should go the diplomacy route and contact Droam and ask them, why the fuck are there so many gargoyles squatting in our territory? So that's what they decided to do. So their last adventure was to be an envoy team of diplomats going to the Droam embassy and demanding / requesting that Droam, as a nation, have the government reposition, get those gargoyles out of their territory. They shouldn't be there. They don't have the rights to be there. It feels like Droam is abusing they have higher military power than the characters do. So they feel like Droam is bullying them because they can. They're basically annexing their territory right now. And the team can't gather any resources from their property until it's clear of threats. So when they go to the embassy and they ask what's going on, hey, what's up? Hey, Ketup, it's going well, my guy. I'm ranting about my current Eberron Spelljammer D&D campaign that I'm running. It's the ability check system that I developed as a potential standalone role-playing game. That's kind of like a reverse cipher system, where you have difficulties that scale from 1 to 10. A difficulty of 1 requires a 4 or higher on an ability check. A difficulty of 10 requires a 31 or better on an ability check. So all the threats inside the campaign scale from a rank of 1 to 10. And using Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition scaling, you have 5 ranks, where you have if you're proficient in something, at 1st rank it's a +2. At 5th rank it's a +6 to your die roll. And then on top of that, you have an additional skill die, kind of like the Essence 20 system uses, on a scale of like 1st rank it's a D4, at 5th rank it's a D12. So a character, anytime your characters are trying to resolve something, it's a D20 test. The action economy is Beckme / cipher in nature, that it's basically you have an action and a movement per round, and then there's like a minor action, but I won't bore you with the details. But basically the way that the system resolves is that anytime that you want to do something, you're going to make an ability check. And that ability check is going to have a difficulty between 1 and 10. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, you're going to make an ability check, and the DC is going to basically be difficulty times 3 is the number you have to beat. So a difficulty 1 task only requires times 3, you have to beat a 3. A difficulty 6 times 3, 18, you have to beat an 18, which means a 19 or above. First level, like first rank characters that have like maybe like a +2 to intelligence and like a +2 proficiency modifier because you're proficient in in intelligence and deciphering stuff, for example, you might have like a raw +4, and then occasionally, depending on circumstances, because you're first rank, you can add an additional D4. So like in this instance, if we're talking like the difficulty is beat an 18, you roll a D20 +4 plus a random D4. You could have anywhere from a +5 to a +8 to your ability check. So you'd only have to roll maybe an 11, maybe like a 14. So it's really iffy. And so if it's a 5th ranked challenge, you need 5 degrees of success. So if it's a 5th ranked challenge, you have to beat a 15. If I rolled a 20, that's a 20 would be 2 degrees. A 20 would be a successful check of a 6 times 3 is 18 plus 1. That's 19. The degree of 20 would be a difficulty of 6, which is 1 higher than the 5 that you needed. So you would gain 1 degree of success. So if a 5th degree challenge, you have to have 5 successes. If I rolled a 31, that would be 15 above the 16 I needed to roll. 15 divided by 3 is 5. If I rolled a 31, I could defeat that 5th ranked challenge with a single die roll. But the chances are I'm not. Every time I fail the die roll, I create complications, either taking damage, creating a new threat, creating a setback, creating disadvantages. There's a couple of different ways that you can create new challenges, but it's very improvisation. So the DM can decide, you failed that die roll, maybe you deal damage to yourself, or you failed that die roll, maybe the whole team takes damage. You failed that die roll, maybe there's a new threat that, like if you're fighting the bad guy, like the boss, and you fail your die roll to damage them, maybe instead of them taking an opportunity attack and dealing that much damage to you instead, maybe reinforcements arrive, and now you have to fight you have 2 challenges that you have to defeat instead of just 1. So that's kind of how the system works in a quick nutshell. I've explained it more succinctly and elegantly in other videos, and you can check the actual design stream of me building that system to see how well it works. But the team has the gargoyles that they have to deal with, and they have the workers' strike. They decided that the workers' strike was boring and not worthy of actual adventure, so they're having the guild take care of it. So it becomes a single die roll. Using the team, the guild has 4 stats. It has commerce, lore, loyalty, and military. So military does combat stuff, but this is a labor dispute. So they're going to use loyalty. Their loyalty is a 1st rank right now, which means they have a +2 to the die roll, and they can add a D4 on the D20. And the difficulty for this particular labor dispute is a difficulty of 4, which means they have to roll a 13 or above. So they get 1 die roll as an organization to resolve it. If they roll 13 or better on their D20 plus D4 plus 2, if they roll 13 or better, the labor dispute is resolved. We just provide, I give them the reason for the dispute. They make the die roll. If they succeed, they quell it, and then they go back to work. If they fail the die roll, it escalates. They gain no resources from that rock because the labor dispute is continuing, and they can no longer use diplomacy to solve it. So they have to switch to a different tactic. The tactics you have available to you are espionage, diplomacy, and military. So if the labor dispute can't be resolved with diplomacy, they now have to switch to either espionage or military. And if they use military against their own people, they're running a real danger of causing even bigger problems, because you can't just shoot your workers if they don't work. We've done that in America's history. It doesn't end well. It leads to things like Labor Day, which is a holiday to celebrate the violence that the labor force used to have to endure for workers' rights. So that's like what Labor Day is all about. So cheers to that. Okay, so if the team lets the guild resolve it, you have that single die roll. They have the single die roll for their diplomacy. If the diplomacy fails, the team could decide to go in and deal with it themselves, in which case it becomes an adventure. And regardless of what the theme was that started the adventure, it will be typical D&D adventuring of, yakety schmackety and causing trouble. If the guild can resolve it as an off-screen NPC single die roll, it's not a big issue. It was just an opportunity for the team to have another adventure. But the team decided to deal with the gargoyles personally. So that's their adventure, dealing with the gargoyles. And they decided to deal with them diplomatically because they don't have enough, they're not a high enough level to be able to use violence to make all these hundreds of thousands of gargoyles go away. They have to use diplomacy. So they go to the Droam embassy to find out why do you have your forces squatting in our territory. That's the theme of it. So while they're doing that, it's basically I had a couple live streams called Diplomacy Dungeons, where I built a 5-room dungeon out of the conversations that they would hold. And you can check that out if you want. But the gist of it is, it turns out that these gargoyles are defecting from Droam. They feel that their workers' rights are being abused. They're both military and labor to break up rocks and or attack things. They're gargoyles. They don't have to breathe. They can just float in space. So you can just take a couple hundred gargoyles, dump them into a region of space, and if somebody comes by, the gargoyles can fly up and it can attack them. Yeah, it's a fun mashup, and it's such a low it's like such minimal mechanics that you can use it in 5e, Cypher, Mutants and Mastermind, Pathfinder, Shadow Dark, Beckme, Dungeon Crawl Classics, Maze Rats. Basically, anytime you're going, Maze Rats I think uses D6s, but basically any game that throws a D20 and has either a challenge rating, a difficulty score, or works by high roll wins, you can use this system as either just background campaign development, or you can actually build characters and have your characters run on that same ability check system. Like it's like a party game light system where it takes there's very minimal rules. Everything is built around nouns and verbs. So you're either observing or interacting with persons, places, and things. So, and depending on what kind of a character you have, you're specialized in people, places, or things. Like delvers are special, or like rangers or barbarian type characters, druidish type things that are specialized in interacting or observing the environment. That's places. You have like bards and diplomats that are specialized in interacting and observing people. And then you have like artificers and rogues that are specialized in interacting with things, like manipulating objects, cracking open safes, locks, building devices. And then there's a magic system, which is Maze Rats in style, where there's whenever you run an adventure, you can either bring in characters that already exist or create a new team to deal with the current threat. So when you're building characters, the number of adventures that they go on is basically their rank. So like if you're a 0 ranked team, you've never gone on an adventure before. If you're a 1st ranked team, you've gone on 1 adventure before. If you're a 2nd ranked team, you've gone on 2 additional adventures. If you're a 3rd ranked team, you've gone on 3 additional adventures. So 0, then 1, then 3, then 6, 10, 15. So after 15 adventures, your team is 5th rank, and that's the maximum rank. When your team, you can buy a team for 0 ranked team costs nothing. You can just recruit nobodies out of the woodwork, and you have a new team. They're 0 ranked team, but there you go. You could recruit or hire a 1st ranked team, and it only costs 1 point of resources to buy a new team. A 5th ranked team costs 5 resource points, and again, the team has 6 territories, and that territory will give them anywhere from 0 to like 6 points. So when they build, if a team gets TPK'd, they buy a new team to replace that TPK'd team. And whatever rank you've gained, that's the maximum rank you can have. So currently the team is 2nd rank, has a 2nd rank guild, which means that they can recruit 2nd rank teams if they're willing to spend 2 resources to do it. Here's the thing: if you a team only costs 1 to 5 points to recruit once you qualify to get them, but you could retire that team and take them out of the field and make them officers or executives in your guild, and you basically cash out that team. So a 1st ranked team is only worth 1 point. A 2nd ranked team is worth 4. So it takes you 2 points to buy a 2nd ranked team, but if you build that team, you get 4 points for them. A 5th ranked team can't gain any new ranks, so you can't buy a 5th ranked team and then cash it out. But if you built a team from, like, say 4th level into 5th level, it'll cost you 4 points to build that team, but you can sell a 5th ranked team for 25 points. 1 point, 4 points, 9 points, 16 points, 25 points. So your adventuring team is a resource that you can build and then sell off to gain more resources. My 5th ranked military team, I am retiring them. I am going to get 25 points. I can buy a new 5th ranked team for 5 points and net 20 points. But by the time we get to the point where we can buy and sell 5th ranked teams, we're dealing with things that costs anywhere from 5 to 25 points per purchase. So as your team gains levels, you have higher ability scores that you can roll, and you can cash out your team to gain more resources to expand your guild. So the players have 4 different teams that they're running right now. They have an espionage team, they have a delving team, they have a combat team, and they have combat, espionage, diplomacy, and delving. So those are 4 types of teams that they're running. And once they get to a certain point, they can sell off that team, get extra points, replace them with new characters. So you roll up a new team to replace them. So in any time that the players are running an adventure, if their character dies, they can bring in a new character, but they'll lose a point of resources for replacing that character. So you have in the Shadow Dark Beckme sort of sense, characters are very easy, and it like takes 2 minutes to make a character. We even have a random generator already built, so all you gotta do is press a button, and it'll fill in your character. One of our players is an Excel spreadsheet junkie, so he made a random generator to basically build characters on the fly. So if your character dies, you just press a button and you have a new character, and you're jumping back in. And since it's just ability checks, you basically have 6 ability scores, and each one has, depending on whether you're proficient, like if you're proficient in, like, say, strength and charisma, when you're exerting your will or force onto other people, then you have proficiency in doing so. So when you're using strength or charisma, you have proficiency in those. You get an extra +2. But like your dexterity, your intelligence, your constitution, your will, and your wisdom don't have proficiency. So it's just whatever your stat is, which could be a negative. That could be like for example, one character might have like a +3 in strength, but a -1 in intelligence. So if you have to make an intelligence roll and you're not proficient in intelligence stuff, then you have a d20 -1, and you might have a difficulty of 13. You have to roll a 14. You might have a difficulty of 31. It's impossible for you to hit that mark. So your abilities scale with your rank. The difficulty scales with your rank as well. 5th rank characters can deal with 10th degree challenges with a DC of 31, because you're rolling a d20 +6, sometimes a +d12 on top of it, and potentially a +5 ability stat bonus. So it could only take like a 4 for you to succeed at difficulty 31. Or you could roll a 1 on your d12, have a -1 to your stat, and so you just roll a d12 with a 1, you have a -1 on your stat, and you're rolling a naked d20 after that. It's impossible for you to hit a 31. So sometimes the team's just going to automatically fail. So the team is balancing between, like, what kind of a die roll can we pull off right now? Because, like, once I use my strength check, I can't do a strength check again until I've gone through all my other ability checks, and then I can recycle all my abilities and roll again. So I can't just spam strength because I'm good at strength. It's like, if I'm good at strength, occasionally I'll be able to use strength and pull off a good result. So there's a lot of chaos. Like, what stat do I want to use right now? And then the team has to make defense rolls occasionally. Like, if they're attacked, they might have to, like, make a saving throw. And if I've already used my dexterity, skill, I can't use my dexterity again until I've refreshed all my stats. So, shit, 753. So, so today the team is going to, the team has went to Droam and started negotiating with the embassy, and they find out that these gargoyles are defecting. So Droam wants them to hand over the gargoyles, and the team was resistant to that. They're like, "Well, we'll give you resources. We'll give you basically, gold or whatever, if you hand them in. But if you're willing to do that, and while you do so, if you can pump them for information about, like, who are their allies, where are they coming from, where are their resources from, who all inside Droam helped them defect. If you help us rat these people out, we'll consider you an ally, and we won't attack you anymore. And we'll even give you some free resources. We'll give you bonus points so that you can advance your own careers, your own guild, and we might be able to send you information in the future to help you. If you don't, we'll consider you an enemy. And you're basically stealing workers and military secrets from us, and we'll declare that an act of war. And so that was the needle that the team was trying to thread, and they decided to keep the gargoyles. So they wanted to, they liked the sense, basically the Felgrave, the leader of the gargoyles, basically said, we like what you've done in previous adventures. They fought elves and pushed elves out of their territory. And that impressed the gargoyles. So the gargoyles are like, we got to leave this place. We need somebody who can help protect us while we do that. Look, this little clan just fought off elves. Maybe they have the military strength that we need to be able to secure ourselves while we figure out what our next move is. So that's why they came to the players. And the players are like, well, Droam is far stronger than us, but we hate what you're saying, and we want to protect you. And they're going to gain all these resources from having gargoyles as part of their guild now. So, like, yeah, let's take them. So they're getting free resources and both loyalty and military for taking on these gargoyles. So now they're going to figure out, in this session, they're going to figure out what the fallout from doing that is. How is Droam going to retaliate? What is the next challenge that they have to face now that they've accepted these gargoyles as part of their guild? That's essentially what the next adventure block is. For the next 10 days, they're going to deal with the fallout of whatever these gargoyles, trying to incorporate these gargoyles into their community. What does that mean? So they're solving the labor dispute in their own territory. They're adopting these gargoyles to free up their own territories and to have more miners in the form of gargoyles to help them in their mining operations moving forward. So they're gaining tangible benefits from having them, but they're not sure what kind of a response Droam is going to have. So that's what they're going to start finding out. So I'm going to run. That's my game today. So I have to bounce out of here. I'm going to be back tomorrow morning. We're going to continue doing this artwork, and I can tell you guys what happened. We can update the game, and that's my weekly game that we run. I'm playtesting it with my home team. This format of adventuring with this 10-day update with these guild resources and players choosing which adventure they want depending on where the fires are at right now. This is the alpha test for a new type of role-playing game that I'm developing that can be, like I said, you could run this inside of a D&D or a Pathfinder or a Mutants Mastermind or a Cypher System game. You can run it as is inside of it as like a structure for your campaign to revolve around. And you can use the character options that we're creating here to actually run it as a standalone Shadow Dark type role-playing game that's built on ability checks. So, but hey, that's where we're at for now. When I'll be back, we'll finish up this the line art here for this constable, and then we'll start coloring it. I'll rant some more about the game that I'm running and see how that's coming along. And if you guys think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, notifications, live in the future. Check out my Discord, check out my Twitter, check out the books that I have published that are in the description down below. And I'll be back tomorrow. So later, guys. Thanks a lot. Hey, welcome back.